Welcome back to IGN House Call. Today we have a very special episode. We have some fine folks from Riot Games, Mr. Justin Hulov, the General Manager of Riot Games Southeast Asia, and Chris Tran, Head of Esports for Riot Games C. Guys?
Hey guys, nice to see everybody.
How are you doing, guys? I hope you guys are doing great. This is one of my most anticipated interview because I love Riot Games.
That's
and
right.
I've been a fan for a long time. I've been playing League since end of season 3. And I've been playing North America first because I didn't know there was a Southeast Asian server until season 5.
Awesome.
So, yeah, it's been crazy. So for both of you guys, I just really want to know, for those at home who don't really know you guys, why don't you guys introduce yourselves?
Yep, for sure. I'll start. My name is Justin. I'm the General Manager for Southeast Asia here at Riot Games. Southeast Asia at Riot has a really interesting definition because it also includes Hong Kong and Taiwan. I've been at Riot for about 3 years. I actually started in the Taipei office and then afterwards moved over to LA to work on the research and development of some of our new games, and specifically thinking about how to tailor them for Southeast Asia. And recently I just moved back to the region a couple of months ago. I'm now based in Singapore. I've been here for 3 months in my lovely Runeterra Palace, as you can see behind me, which I was allowed to leave yesterday. So that's me.
You've been freed. Okay, what about you, Chris Tran? You have your Super Saiyan hair ready to go here?
Yeah.
Oh my god. Yeah, so, it's that we have an R&D, a fighting game coming. So this is like my marketing a fighting game with my hair.
Nice.
Like, so just follow the magic hair. I think people say if those who cannot do teach. And so this is my own philosophy for esports because I'm not good at the games that we play, but I want to make a world where if you are good at the games we play, then we will make your life great. So like we have a very simplistic view of the world, and those who work hard get rewarded for their efforts, and that's what I get to do with Riot. So I've been working for Riot for 4 years, for building up the League of Legends esports scene, and hope talking to you guys real soon about all the other esports things that we have in store.
Oh my god, you guys are making me so excited because finally it feels like everything's coming back, because after the MCO, nothing was going on. There are a few events happening here there, especially you guys are doing PCS obviously. So I was really excited to hear about PCS. Can I know why exactly you decided to combine PCS to become PCS? You have the C Tours and the LPL, if I'm not wrong.
The LMS.
LMS, sorry.
So there's a saying that if you want to go far, you go together, and I think that's the founding philosophy for combining the LMS and the LST. We are a region which is Southeast Asia and Greater China, and there's a lot of great talent there and a lot of great organizations, and unfortunately some underserved communities. So by putting all of these different pieces together, we found that the sum is greater than the parts. So that's why we're putting it all together. We think that there are a lot of emergent properties where you have great coaching and talent from Taiwan and Hong Kong, and some undiscovered or newly discovered talent in some of the other parts of the region, so that we can surprise and delight our fans. So we're in our inaugural year. This is our spring split, and of course life has not been easy for anybody this year, but we're hoping the new combination of all these skills and cultures will show some amazing results in the esports tournaments to come.
I mean, when you say surprise and delight fans, I mean, I'm not surprised that you said that, because the PCS, sorry, I'm getting confused here. The PCS this season was kind of it took me by surprise, because personally, looking at the LMS, they are mechanically have always been better than the teams here in Southeast Asia. But when you put them together, you have Berjaya Dragons, who managed to surprise everyone. Everyone thought that they were going to come in 9th. But they made it to 4th, I think. So right now, what do you think are how do I say this? What do you think are the best teams now in Southeast Asia? Not Southeast Asia, my bad. In the PCS. There we go.
I want to tell you the same answer that my mom tells me when I ask her, who does she love? And she's like, I love all my children. for all of my children. And we've only had 1 week of gameplay so far, and a lot of teams have changed their rosters, and we have champions. And the great thing about League of Legends esports is the meta is always changing.
Exactly.
Seen a lot of Volibear play in the first week. Like in some regions, we see Fiddlesticks with like making his appearance. So strategies that brought teams competitive success in the PCS spring, it doesn't mean that they will be successful in PCS summer. So I'm excited about all the teams. Maybe to say that there is one team to notice a bit more than the others is Talon, which was just partnered up with Paris Saint-Germain, the one of the most famous football/soccer teams in the world.
That's crazy.
A part of the PCS. So it's a soccer football team. I'm not sure what you guys call it, football or soccer.
Football
for sure, yeah.
Football, right? So it's one of the most storied and like epic, legendary football teams in the world, and we are so excited to have them as a partner for the PCS. And it just goes to show that the vision and the value and some of the building blocks that we put into place in our first year are starting to pay off, in results. And we're only at the beginning of the PCS, so a lot to look forward to, and a lot of expectations, because our fans really, really hope to have some interesting things come of it.
I mean, it's not really surprising to see that partnership come around, because over in North America, you've seen Golden State Warriors, who are primarily basketball. Now they have a Golden State, what do you call that? League of Legends team as well.
Golden Guardians.
The Golden Guardians. Yeah. So I'm glad that we're finally headed that way, because everyone has been thinking how Korea, North America, as well as Europe, is where most esports scenes need to be looking at, and we're slowly making bounds and leaps toward there. So in the future, can I just know, in terms of how you want to maintain the structure of PCS, will we see anything big this year? I mean, right now everything's online, obviously, but moving forward after the pandemic, how are you guys planning on making it look awesome and big, just like those countries?
I wish I had a crystal ball to tell you when this pandemic would be done. To be honest, I have no idea when the next time I will see Justin, let alone the next time these events, right?
Yeah.
And we may look like we fight a lot, but we fight less than we think. But
okay.
It's really hard, because we want to put together these great, iconic offline events where you have thousands of fans cheering and watching people do things that they wish they could do time and time again. But we don't have a good that will look like, except that we are trying to balance so many things, right? And the most important thing for us is player health. We need to make sure that our pros can play in a safe situation. We need to respect all of the local regulations, and we need to make sure it's a competitively fair environment. And then we can do something innovative, etc. So the desire for sure is there. Just that there are a lot of things outside of our control. So we be patient with us and understand that we're doing everything that we can, because we have to live in the world that we live in, not the world that we wish we lived in.
Right. Okay. So now that wraps up about PCS. Dale, do you want to talk about the League Legends of Runeterra?
Yeah. I think we touched upon you guys are sort of coping with this whole global pandemic thing. So, Justin, how has the team coped with this whole thing, you think?
I mean, I think it's one of those things where it's you do the best that you can given the circumstances, right? And for us, there's been a number of ways that the pandemic has affected us. I mean, obviously, in the most negative part of it, we've had to postpone a number of our in-person events, and that's primarily because we've been thinking about how do we make sure that we keep both our players and our fans as safe as possible. That said, the things that I've been really excited about and that I've been really proud of are that we managed to launch a bunch of new experiences and new games, right? So Legends of Runeterra came out on time. Valorant just launched here in Southeast Asia and came out in Taiwan. The Wild Rift Alpha just came out in the Philippines and has been running for quite a while. And so I was personally terrified that we would not be able to do all those things because, you know, being trapped in one place and trapped in our, like, basically in my Runeterra palace, as you can see, it's not where I usually am, right? Like, I'm usually used to be, like, if we were in the Philippines, I would be in the Philippines. If we were launching in Taiwan, I would be in Taiwan. And I just haven't been able to do that. But for the most part, I think that we've actually been able to really deliver on the experiences that we've been hoping to deliver to our players for a long time, with, you know, minimal delay, right? The other thing that I'll sort of call out on the pandemic side is that we've been doing our part in a number of different ways. So in addition to sort of contributing to a number of organizations all over the world, in Singapore, for example, we've donated to TWC2, which is an organization that supports migrants. We've also been working with the World Health Organization on an initiative called Play Apart Together, which is basically a way to encourage video games as a way for people to stay connected while being physically distanced, right, or socially distant. And so, you know, as far as, you know, we've been coping, I think that we've been doing our best. I think everyone
You guys are
else.
doing amazing.
All things considered, yeah.
All things considered, right? Like, we think that we're doing our best for our players and for the team.
Okay, just curious, why did you guys choose Philippines to be the first country to, you know, to test Wild Rift?
To be fair, it was both the Philippines and Brazil. And I'd like to say that it was because I'm Filipino and because I am.
Little bias there.
But actually,
You have to love all your children the same. Love all your children the same.
But I will say that a lot of game companies actually do alpha tests in the Philippines, right? The main reason is because it's a country that you know, is both Western and Eastern in its influence. You can launch things in English pretty easily, you know, and there's enough players there who play such a wide variety of games that it allows you to understand a wide variety of behaviors. And those learnings that you get from tests, because alphas are essentially that, right? They're tests where you put out a not complete version of a game so that you can get insights and make tweaks before you go into beta or before you release the game. And the insights that we get from the Philippines generally tend to be applicable to both Western preferences as well as Eastern preferences.
Okay, that's really interesting. So how has been the, how do I say this, the reception of the game so far in the Philippines?
I think it's really interesting. The game has sparked, so I would say on the whole, it's been really positive and people have been really excited about it. I will say that where it's been negative, there's been kind of like two camps of negativity. Negative camp one is, wow, the skill cap is much higher than we've expected from other mobile MOBAs, right? And that's led to one series of questions and debates around it, right? The other set of sentiment and issues have been primarily around, I didn't get an invite to the alpha, I hate you.
Oh no!
I really want to play this game. And you know, and unfortunately, like, much as I would love for everyone to be able to play the alpha, like, alphas are limited for a reason, right? They're limited because it's a very specific, it's a science experiment to a certain extent, right? It's not a game launch. It's a way for us as developers to test and understand user behaviors with a product that isn't ready to be launched yet. And that's why it's called an alpha. But, you know, there's lots of streams that are out in both English and Tagalog, like all over the internet right now. Lots of debates that are kind of going back and forth. And I think for the most part, what we're starting to realize is that our hypothesis around creating a truly, like, League of Legends, a truly authentic League of Legends experience on mobile is there. And people are super, super excited about it. People are super hype about it. And we're super excited to bring it to Southeast Asia and the rest of the world ASAP.
Nice. All right, let's shift a bit to Valorant. How's the competitive state right now, you think, Chris?
The competitive state is I want to try to pivot to a government metaphor, but I realize that that's not an opportune moment. So let's just take a step back and think about our Riot Games philosophy on esports. So a lot of our, you know, competitors, they go out the gate with you launch a game on day one and you launch your esport on day two. For us, we want to serve the community. So we want to launch a great game and make sure that all the fundamentals are there, then make sure all the communities are well supported, and then thinking about esports as a third step. The challenge we have with Valorant is that all of those things are moving faster than we expected. It's great. It's great. So do I say the state is going up real fast? Do I say like it like the metaphor falls for itself, right? So we're doing a lot of different competitive things with Valorant now, like both globally and also in our region. So globally, we just announced the Valorant Ignition series, where we will have different esports organizations putting, like organizing their own Valorant events where the competitive level will be very close to a professional scene, if not with professionals. I say very close because Valorant is a new game, so we do not know if the pros of Valorant or like the best players of Valorant are people who played other games, or if Valorant will be their first game. And I want to be surprised and delighted by the underdogs that show up. Our own part of the world will be having our own Valorant Ignition series. It will be called the Valorant Pacific Open.
Oh my gosh.
Weekend of July 3rd. And it's going to be pretty amazing because every one of our nations/regions will have their own qualifier to find some of the best teams there. So like the Philippines will have a tournament, Thailand, Taiwan, Indonesia, Singapore, Malaysia, Philippines, Hong Kong. I normally have to have my fingers out counting all of the different regions that I hope that you understand that if we get it, it's there. And then following that, on July 11th, we will have the Valorant SEA Invitational, which will be different influencers and content creators from the same regions that we cover, the same regions that I discussed, which will be competing with each other for a $10,000 prize. So, so that's kind of what we're doing at the higher level. But of course, we empower communities. We are working with a lot of different organizations in each of our countries so that they can put together their own tournaments. Like in Singapore, as part of the Circuit Breaker initiative, we've been working with different organizations like Redantes or like Battle Royale Singapore. We have tournaments for Valorant for people to stay home, but still play together, right? Like similar to what Justin said, we want people to play apart together. So, a lot of stuff happening at a almost breakneck speed. We are super lucky to be able to do that right now.
Okay, just curious, since everything is done online right now, and there may be tournaments in the future that will be, from different countries. For Valorant, ping is extremely sensitive. Do you think that will be a huge issue for you guys?
It's an issue if the tournament is not designed appropriately. So the way the Valorant Ignition Series tournaments and the Valorant SEA Invitational are structured, ping is not going to be an issue. If we were going to have a tournament where we brought in people from Oceania and Sydney or like Turkey, et cetera, then of course.
Yeah.
I have challenges playing with Justin because we're very far apart right now. Ping is brutal, and I just want to kick my table, but then the table is very heavy and I hurt my foot. So but yeah, it's a great question. It's a great call out. And luckily we're able to, design the competitive format so that it is fair for all the teams that are competing. Fairness is the pillar by which we have to build a sport around. And it's the same for Valorant. It's the same for Legends of Runeterra. It's the same for League of Legends.
Yep, as you said, love all your children equally.
Yeah.
I even love TFT.
Oh, yeah. I forgot about TFT. I mean, while we're on the topic, any plans for TFT in the region?
Plans, yes. Plans that we can announce? No.
Ah, no.
Okay.
I guess it's time for me to hop in and practice.
Justin is the expert on TFT as well, so I give the rest of my time on TFT to Justin.
Okay, Justin, why don't you tell us maybe what you can share about TFT over here in the region, and maybe if you guys have any cool little legends for us that we should be looking out for.
Yeah, so I mean, as Chris said, we're not quite ready to announce our plans on TFT yet. I think there are specific things that we need to think about as we think about launching TFT in the region, like how account linking will work and how it'll connect to sort of the broader Riot ecosystem that we've created now. You know, as you know, we publish our games. We published League of Legends historically with Garena, and we're super grateful for all the work that we've done with Garena, but it's a very different account system than the account system that's being launched now, which is more in line with what we're creating globally. Right? So all Southeast Asian players now will be in line with the rest of the world in terms of how we launch our accounts, how we manage our players, that kind of thing. And since TFT is so intimately connected to League, we're still trying to figure out what the best way is to make sure that we're able to stay consistent with the global system, while at the same time making sure that it's tailored to the specific needs of SEA players. So that's kind of what I'll say we're trying to solve without committing to anything.
What's the OP comp right now in TFT, Justin?
I think it's Protectors, personally. Protectors Mystics with an Aurelian soul turned into a Protector.
Oh my god.
All right, there you go.
And what galaxy is the best for that comp, Justin?
I don't want to give too much away.
So you don't want to tell me the secret of winning TFT. I have never once won a TFT match, okay? It's very frustrating for me.
TFT and Wild Rift are arguably the only two of our games that I'm good at. Right.
Ooh.
So historically, I've been like trounced in most of the other games, and like TFT was finally the place where I could like walk into the office with my head held high. You know? So.
Well, that's nice. I can't even hold my head high with League. I'm stuck at gold 3. I can't seem to go anywhere. It's so sad.
You're really good. You're really good. Gold 3 is good. Oh my god. Whoa.
No, I have to be plat. I have to be plat first.
Good.
All of my children are plat. No, not saying.
So I'm not your child now. Oh no.
Also,
because you're gold.
Best rank ever. I'm just gold 3. I suck so much.
When you're friends with so many pro players, that tends to be an issue.
This is actually true. I relate completely.
Okay, so just wondering, what do we ask about, like wanting to work at Riot about?
Yeah, I'm sure, you know, for a lot of people, working for Riot would be a dream come true. So what do you guys think would be the steps for somebody to kind of pivot towards that direction?
I could start, and then Chris, you can go. So I have a super non-traditional background, right? I majored in comparative literature in college, which is a completely not useful set of things. So I majored specifically in Filipino, Spanish, and English literature, right? And specifically post-colonial influences. So nothing to do with video games whatsoever, right? I thought for the longest time that I was going to work in government, and I interned at the Philippine government for a while. Ended up not just doing that. Went into management consulting after college, then left management consulting to get an MFA in creative writing, which is quite possibly one of the only master's degrees that reduces your earning potential over time, you know? And then spent some time working in ad tech, right? Before finally making the move over to video games. And what I'll tell you, and what I think is really interesting about gaming is that, yes, it's super helpful to be passionate about video games, you know, and yes, it's super helpful to really understand the culture in the scene. But I also think that it's really helpful to start developing specializations in the various functions that are required to run a business, because at the end of the day, those are the things that we end up doing. And video games, I think before used to not be very large enterprises, but now there's places for marketers, there's places for people who are focused on technology, there's places for engineers, there's places for general managers, there's places for people who want to do esports. And the same set of skills that are required to manage a business and to work in the different specialty functions that are necessary to run a business are all present in video games, you know? So I guess the way that I would sort of frame it is that while it's important to also maintain your focus and your interest in the industry, it's also helpful to start developing specialties, right? To really kind of dig a little bit deeper into different areas, you know? So, Chris, what do you have to add?
Well, you took all the good answers, so I'm gonna have to. And I think it all begins with hair. So
Hair.
you need to like grow like a big, like you need to watch Lion King.
You need to get a Heimerdinger haircut. Is that
Like, channel your Mufasa or your like Simba, like for the scar. But I think to what Justin said, like the self-starter mindset with a specialized skill set will get you far, because we've like, between me and Justin, we've probably interviewed thousands of people, and a large swath of that are really nice people who want to get into gaming because they love gaming, but necessarily have the appropriate skill. And I liken it to, I love to eat. That doesn't make me good at opening a restaurant.
That's a good analogy.
Yeah.
But if I like eating enough, then I will learn how to cook, et cetera, and like, especially in what we do, which is we are trying to take a global game and make it resonant and like really compelling and like exciting for local players. Like, it's very entrepreneurial. We work with a startup mentality. We sometimes fail and hope that people forgive us, because when we succeed, we want to succeed big. But that's a specific mindset where you're always looking to grow. We always know that we don't have the perfect answer, but we're always looking for the best answer and to improve and iterate every step of the way, right? So how somebody should think about, like, not just living their life to join Riot, because I think that if anybody is just trying to live their life just to join Riot, there are better ways to live your life. But as a general philosophy, like, do something that you'll be good at that could be applied in an industry that you want to love and work in long term, right? Like, I come from a lot of different random things. Not quite as random as Justin. He's a general manager because he's more random than me. But like, I've been in advertising, I've been a consultant, I've been in travel. I used to work for the United States Air Force. I've done all random stuff, right? You know, like, I was like locked in a diner, like, because the power was out and they didn't think I would pay. But that's another story for not since I joined Riot, Justin. It's cool. All right. But picking up the right mindset, picking up skills that are really needed, that are universal skills, right? Like marketing. We need marketing. We need marketing in esports. We need marketing in community management, but also marketing skills where, you know, you guys do marketing, right? Everybody's doing marketing in some way, shape, or form. How you think about it, how deep you get with it, and how you can pivot that skill into different industries will get you far in life, right? And, you know, like, does Riot have finance people? Absolutely. Do our finance people love games? Yes. Does everybody who plays games is good at finance? No. Is everybody who's good at finance plays games? No. But those are kind of like the ways that you know, like, people should consider living their lives, or like forming their careers to get them closer to where they want to be. I was rambling and I said things I shouldn't, so I hope I still have a job tomorrow, Justin. I'm one of your children, love me equally.
You did good, buddy. I'll say.
Nice. All right. Speaking of specializations, you know, personal specializations, who are your favorite Valorant agents and League of Legends heroes?
Well, I'll start. So I am terrible at Valorant, but I've been really enjoying Sage.
Nice.
Mainly because she's been really easy to run around with, and because Matthew Stewart, who used to be a shoutcaster, now manages community for Riot. He goes by Fish. Has been really, really instrumental in being my coach and giving me very directive things to do, which has increased my win rate. So that's the main reason that I'm into Sage. And then in both League of Legends and in Wild Rift, my favorite champ is Shyvana.
A jungle main.
So Shyvana, so Shyvana is great, obviously in League of Legends, and, you know, because of her Dragon Clear and all of that stuff. But I really think that Shyvana in Wild Rift is the Shyvana that I've always wanted her to be. Like, she has CC, the dragon has a great buff. Yeah, she's super strong. Like, she's a jungler that can become a laner. Like, all the things that I've always wanted her to be, she is, and it's kind of really great in that format. So
Nice.
Heimerdinger, what do you got to say? Who's your favorite?
Hey, Heimerdinger.
So in Valorant, I'll be totally candid, and I haven't dedicated the hours that I should to it. So I normally play Sova because as somebody who can scout and recon, even if I'm bad at shooting, I can still help the team.
Yeah, you're like in the back hiding, aren't you?
I'm like, yeah, so like League of Legends equivalent ward bot, right? Like, so I just like run around the jungle, like put some wards, right? Jump back to lane. So the game is new, and I'm also, like young, so still got a lot of time to play games.
So he says he's young.
I'm young compared to older people. So with League of Legends, I like to think of myself as one of the few Illaoi mains out there.
Ooh.
Illaoi came to me at a weird part in my life where she was released on my birthday, and I was interviewing for a job at Riot.
Wow.
So it's like, and like going back to your earlier question about how do you get a job at Riot, when you're interviewing for Riot, you actually there's going to be a point when you have to 1v1 somebody. I thought you have to 1v1 somebody. It doesn't happen. It doesn't happen. But in my head, it got me into my I thought I need to 1v1 somebody. I gotta get good at something. Illaoi was my birthday. I'm gonna become the best Illaoi I ever could. And I'm a pretty solid Illaoi.
Chris is actually a stunning Illaoi. He's actually one of the few really brilliant Illaois that I've ever seen.
And thank you. You love the other children. But then there's also this weird I found that I like Illaoi. I like Lilo and Stitch. I like Moana. There's a statue of Maui on my desk, so I'm I guess I have an island, like a strong islander kind of right? But yeah, I love her play style. I love being the gigantic raid boss where people have to 3v1 me to have any chance of beating me. That's the way I live my life as well. So it comes with the hair, guys. It comes with the hair.
A Super Saiyan hair. He's ready.
Vegeta.
You
should see me with the mustache, the Vegeta mustache. It's amazing.
You should have done it in the interview. Okay, that reminds me. While you guys were talking about your champions and league and stuff, can I know one thing? Is this about Wild Rift, of course? Is the champion roles in Wild Rift severely different than in League of Legends? Like, if say I were to play Lux mid in League of Legends, can she go to other roles in Wild Rift?
So I think first of all the way that the roles are actually designed in Wild Rift is a tweak, and it's different. So for example, there's no top or bottom lanes. There's dragon lanes, and so it's essentially it really actually it's very similar. It's going to feel very familiar to League of Legends players. You'll know how to play, but it's going to be it's a different game, right? And it's different in terms of sort of the way that it flows and it kind of moves. And my Shyvana example is a really great example, right? The mechanics of it are the same in that she gets a buff every time she kills a dragon, She still has the same W, the same E, the same Q. But the biggest differences are that there's little tweaks that just make her more viable for a variety of different things. So she can do her jungle thing, she can actually run into a lane and play in a lane. In Wild Rift, for example, there's no jungle items, right? So that's one big, massive shift that I think is a change. And so it just means that the game will feel very familiar to League players, but it will also be an even ground for new players that are coming in. And there's lots of streams online right now, especially from the streams in the Philippines and Brazil, where you can kind of see some of this in action to get a sense and a feel for how both experienced and new players are adapting to the game.
That's interesting. Does it mean I have to be learning from ground up again?
No, not at all. Because you, as a League player, there's certain mechanics that you're just gonna understand, like last hitting for goal. Why do you want to take a dragon buff? Why does vision matter? That kind of thing. But those mechanics are also going to be really relevant to people who play other mobile MOBAs, right? And so there'll be things that are familiar if you've never played League before and have just played another mobile MOBA. That coming in, you're going to understand some of those mechanics. So it's kind of finding a good middle ground between the two. And frankly, the alpha is testing some of that. Have we found the right middle ground between the established practice for people who have never really played League before, and would only play other mobile MOBAs, and between players of League of Legends who are looking for an authentic League experience on mobile, you know? So we're trying to really use the alpha to fine tune that.
Right. So, what about the upcoming fighting game and the animated series? What can we know about that?
So Project L is still being developed. There's a lot of super exciting things there that I can't quite talk about just yet.
But you know things though.
I promise I'll be able to talk about it soon. I have played it.
Oh!
It's cool. You know, we could talk about it later, right? And then our first animated series, Arcane, is going to come out sometime next year, right? And we plan a lot of really exciting things about that. And for us, I'm going to point to it marks a pretty big shift for Riot. I think for the longest time, the biggest meme was about, you know, Rito only has one game, right? And now we have. Now it feels like we have
a whole bunch of things.
You
Yeah.
guys just came out on the 10th year and just like, here's my new child, here's my new child, here's my new child, here's my new child, and you're like, whoa, so many.
They've been busy.
things.
Please love all of our children. Please love all of our children.
But I think this is part of a strategy to make sure that people, you know, we're really interested in making Riot the next big entertainment company, right? And in order to do that, we have to think about these universes that we've created through League and figure out ways to create different touch points for people who might not want to play a MOBA, you know? So there is Legends of Runeterra, which is the card game, right? Valorant, which is the FPS that's come out. Wild Rift, which, you know, we've just talked about, is the new mobile MOBA in League. There's Arcane, which is the animated series that we've talked about, Project L, the fighting game, and then there's the other games that we've also announced, right? So on Forge, for example, Ruin King, which is coming out soon, and Ruin King is the RPG that's coming out. Let's see, the other one that is Convergence, which was an action platformer that's coming out. So we're working with indie developers to kind of create different touch points. And there's a bunch of other things that we have in the works, and some of them that are very specific to Southeast Asia, to create ways for people to experience the League of Legends universe, not necessarily through a game. And that's what I'm gonna say about that for now.
So is
but we're
the
super
MOBA
excited.
true or not?
Leave them asking for more, Justin.
Oh my god.
Less is more.
That's Chris's Ixnay. I could feel Jem on the other line. Being like,
Feel the hair. Feel my frown.
Oh, what about
anyway, lots of exciting things.
the what do you call that? MMO. Is that true or?
I can't comment.
Gah!
We have to ask our founder about that. We are not allowed to comment on that. That's only he can talk about that.
He often comments on Twitter. If you're lucky, he might respond.
Time to start my Twitter fingers.
Yep,
Hello, can you tell me about this game? Please don't ignore me.
I am one of your children. Why won't you love me?
Oh my gosh, I'm not getting love from Philippines, not getting love from North America. Please love me here on Twitter. Oh man, so I'm just curious to know about your Southeast Asia Riot office. So in North America, you have the Annie's and Tiber statue, which I have been salivating to go and visit for many years now, but I don't know if I'll ever get there. So will you guys have something similar here in Southeast Asia that I can probably visit one day?
So I think without making any commitments, I can tell you a little bit about what our expansion plans are, right? So historically, we haven't had a very large presence here in Southeast Asia. And, you know, especially as we think about launching more mobile products, especially as Southeast Asia becomes a key market for us, we're making a lot of investments on both the publishing and the product side, right? So first, we have a very, very, significant publishing team that is going to market all of the games here that's based in Singapore. In addition, we're actually also opening a studio here, right, which will be focusing on the development of new games and new products. And part of that is just to make sure that we're close to the customers of our future, right, and making sure that we're actually able to deliver those experiences directly. I can't comment exactly on any statues or not because frankly I haven't made a decision yet. Like I said, we were talking earlier on the call about how awesome our Korea office is. The Korea office, for those of you that don't know, is this incredible space. It has, paintings of all of the League of Legends champions done by traditional Korean painters and sort of huge, like 2-meter canvases all over the office. There's a really great indoor stadium. There's like awesome velvet couches and great like custom sort of like it's an amazing space. One of the coolest spaceship massage chairs there. I actually think it's one of our
massage chair.
I don't know how else to describe it right now. And full disclosure, like we're kind of thinking about similar things for what we end up doing for Southeast Asia, but I think our first priority is hire the team, get them into Singapore, launch the games, and then start decorating.
And then spaceship massage chairs, guys.
Yes,
And
please,
spaceship massage
chairs. Please, I would love to go there and just, I don't know, fly into wherever it brings me.
All right. Final question for the both of you guys. What else do you guys have in store for the rest of 2020 and 2021? What do you think will be coming up?
Oh man, I told you everything already. I told you everything I could tell
Wow.
you. I told you about Wild Rift that's coming up. I told you about Arcane, Forge, Ruin King, Convergence, which is coming out. And
Chris
like,
is frowning again.
and those are all the things that we're allowed to talk about. There's a bunch of other things that we have in store, so you guys will have to stay tuned. Follow my Twitter. Check announcements.
Okay, so there you have it, guys. That is a Riot Games Southeast Asia. Woohoo! Come on, guys.
Thanks so
clap.
much, you
I
guys.
don't feel like I'm alone. Oh my gosh, you guys
I
have
still
so
have a
many.
job. Yay.
He was just like frowning at Justin, like, don't say anything. Keep quiet, Justin. Okay, guys. So that marks the end of IGN House Call for this. What you call it? Would you call this an episode session?
Yeah.
Coffee talk, chat.
Sounds great.
Yes.
Coffee talk.
Coffee talk. Coffee
We
talk.
have coffee talk. We talked amongst ourselves.
Yeah.
So guys, say goodbye to Chris Chan and Justin Hulog, and we'll see you guys in the next episode. Ciao.
Bye-bye.
Thanks, guys. Bye.